Hi, welcome to NPR News. And to those who are listening on the radio, welcome. Those who are online, welcome as well. Today we do have an interesting topic. My name is Zach Gilifinak, and along with me is Edgar Chitaluo.
Hi.
Edgar, welcome. So today we do have some interesting topics to discuss. First thing we're going to talk about is visual impairment. Great subject. Very interesting for those who are listening who want to be future teachers or those who are teachers already. So Edgar, we're going to start off with a phone call we received. And Mookie, you're on the line. This is Mookie, a puppet from San Marcos. Mookie, welcome. What is your question?
How do you identify students with visual impairments?
Good question. How do you identify students with visual impairments? Before we get into this topic, Edgar, do you want to butt in here? Before we speak about that, we're going to need to know some definitions. So Edgar, please take the stage.
Right. The legal definition of blindness is based on clinical measurements of visual acuity. Hold that for me, please. Hold it up.
Sure thing.
Acuity is determined by having an individual read letters on a chart. Each line is made up of a different size letter. These tests are usually given in the elementary level and can be requested in higher education as well. The legal definition of blindness is based on a clinical measurement of visual acuity. Acuity is determined by having an individual read the letters on a chart. Each line of the chart is composed of letters written with a certain size of print. The ability to read the 20 lines from a distance of 20 feet is typical, and a person who can read at that line is said to have 20/20 acuity or 20/20 vision. Individuals who from 20 feet can only read the top line, which would be the G, where the print is size 200, when using both eyes and wearing their glasses, is said to have a 20 to 200 acuity. These people are legally blind. The second definition of visual disability, including blindness, is an impairment in vision that, even with correction, adversely affects a child's education. The difference between these two definitions is that the first one is strictly medical and for legal purposes, and the second one, which we all need to take into more consideration, talks about the effects that the child's disability has in their education. There's a wide range of visual abilities. Teachers need to be able to classify their students by their tendency or needs of visual or tactile means of learning. Zach will inform us a little bit more on these different kinds of classifications.
Thanks, Edgar. So to answer your question, Mookie, when you're identifying these students, there are things you need to know, as Edgar said. One of them, one category you need to be aware of as an educator is low vision. So low vision is pretty much students who read print. They may have to depend on optical aids, but generally they're students with low vision, and they may or may not be legally blind. So that's an important fact to know. Also, another area to be concerned with is the functionally blind student. So this is a student, or describes a student, who typically uses Braille to do their reading and writing. Although it's important to note with technology today, not a whole lot of students opt for using Braille. It's almost like a counterculture now with the technology that's out. So if you think about it, if a student doesn't use Braille and they're blind, they're pretty much illiterate because they rely on technology. Also, they use their limited vision to supplement tactical and auditory learning. An example of a functionally blind student, if you're wondering, hey, what's a functionally blind student, is a student who has tunnel vision. For those of you watching, tunnel vision might look something like this. Very hard to see. Edgar, you know a little bit more about this. Can you enlighten us on this?
All right. Tunnel
subject?
vision is when a person can see less than 20 degrees around them, looking straight ahead. So this is a pretty good example right here. This can happen even if the person acuity
very hard to see. Edgar, you know a little bit more about this. Can you enlighten us on this?
All right. Tunnel
subject?
vision is when a person can see less than 20 degrees around them, looking straight ahead. So this is a pretty good example right here. This can happen even if the person's acuity is normal, and the normal degree is usually up to 160. So that's pretty much what all of us see, except those like me who wear glasses.
Thank you. So, which leads us to our third classification, and that is the totally blind student. So, students who do not receive meaningful input through their visual sense would be considered totally blind. Also, if they use tactical and auditory means to learn about their environment.